All right, here we go. In three, two, one. All right, man. We are live and we are back. Sort of back with Miguel. We tried this one time and I messed everything up with the audio. Didn't happen on my end. So Miguel, welcome back. How are you doing, man? How are you holding up? It's late May. You're in New York City. What's going on and how are you holding up?
I'm holding up with a lot of hope that we are, evolving. And right now, it's certainly a little bit more people out than when we last spoke. And so that's gingerly sort of moving along. But then there's the ambiguity, right? Is anything really fixed, but we got to get out. We got to get out. We got to get out. So
yeah,
thanks for asking, man.
Yeah. So before we get going, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what several things that you do?
Hey, first and foremost, I'm a visual artist. I love to draw. I'm a printmaker. That's a print of the studio building where I'm at, and those are figures copied from a very classic Puerto Rican print portfolio about popular music in Puerto Rico. So I paint, I do that most of the time, or it's a continuity throughout my life. But I also teach, which has been, we were talking before, you were asking, how is it? I've had a community of students, actually 3 communities of students with whom I've had the privilege of teaching, hanging out, sharing like, hey, what's going on in your end? Because everybody's hard up. So having those 3 classes has been amazing.
That's nice, man. So you've been you've been able to stay busy a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people that are watching this know you, but what about you? Well, how have you been holding up with the?
Yeah, man, I've been I've been trying to pivot my business is events. You know what I mean? So I do events, and then the other part of my business is getting like liquor brands, like the tequila bottles you see here, into bars and restaurants. So obviously, all of that is completely shut down for me. So that's
I can break during the interview.
What's that?
Tequila bottle, so it's okay to drink in the interview. I might have a sip.
Oh no, there's no this podcast is powered by Arte Agave, man. So we're a drinking crew, and we're hospitality people, man. So I don't. There's no judging, man. You can drink, and do whatever you want. So yeah, man. So I've literally been pivoting to more content, videos. I launched this podcast, about 7 weeks ago. So I've been taking everything that I sort of do inside 4 walls and trying to put it, via content, video, whether it be, video, audio, kind of format. So, just trying to stay busy, trying to stay relevant, and trying to, give myself something to do so I can get away from the kids and the wife for an hour and a half, and feel like I'm relevant again. So, I'm just trying to keep the lights on until we can get back out onto the streets. And, I'm like you, man, I like the hustle. So I'm ready to get back out there.
Well, I put this on because I also direct this theater called Latea. It's a Latin American Theater Experiment Associates. So I use short Latea. Man. And so, it's Latin American theater. And I think such a thing as agave, quite a Latin American drink, brought us together. So hopefully, you're talking about taking your stuff online and everything. I'm doing now plays through cell phones. Not me, I just facilitate and we do stuff. We have a community of artists. We're doing jazz, a jazz evening, also online. And I started interviewing this journalist, one from Spain. He was from the Financial Times or the London Times, but he was stationed in Madrid, checking out the scene. And another journalist is from The Economist. So these are really, Dr. Vihai, Dr. Vihai. So we're also having programming, man. We're programming like you, trying to keep it going.
That's cool, man. So talk about, the theater group that you have. Talk about the theater a little bit. What was happening before COVID? What did it look like for you? What was your schedule? And I know you're at a theater. So tell us a little bit about that theater, a little bit of history of it, and what normally goes on at that theater.
Yeah, well, the theater has been busy. I've only been with the theater the past 3 years, so it's been
Okay.
relatively recent. And the theater is a long history, has a long history because it's like from 90s, late 80s, early 90s here in the city, and it's been incorporated. And I think like as a small downtown Latin theater institution, it's gone through a lot of epochs, a lot of people, a lot of so now we're in this whatever iteration, right? And right before the pandemic, we had a show from Costa Rica called "The Construction of the Wall," talking about immigration. Immigration was an issue. There were other issues before this. This is just like wiped it all out of the slate. So we were doing a play on that, guests from there, written by a Pulitzer Prize winner from here called Robert Schenken. It's his play, The Construction of the Wall. And then we have this amazing rehearsal rooms. So we got an ecosystem of people coming to do dance, theater, play music. We also got food justice talks. We have, you name it, it goes through there. A bunch of Australian guys once were like being taught how to talk to women. There was like a workshop going on and stuff. So we let, anything and everything. So it's very funky, that sense. And the Tai Chi people talk to theater people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
What's the name of the theater again?
It's called Latea. We call it Latea. Latea. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's an acronym for the Latin American theater thing. But Latea in Spanish is also the torch. In the Olympics, the torch, like that's Latea. Like boom, boom, boom.
Nice. I would know that if I was learning my Spanish that I promised everyone that I'd be learning. I think it's the one most disappointing thing about myself in the last 6 weeks. I've not really done my my Duolingo Spanish app that I downloaded. So I got to get back on that. And that's why I'm glad I'm back doing the podcast, because now I have, I've got to get back on track with people that I promised that I would start learning the language more than the typical 15 words that I know.
So word for you in Spanish, you'll find out about it, suave. Okay, suave.
Smooth, right?
You'll find out, suave. right.
Cool, man. So tell me about what course you're teaching Spanish.
I teach
in
Spanish.
Your courses
At Baruch College. Yeah.
Got it.
It's just in beginning.
How's that going?
Well, it's gone very well. As a visual artist, I've had to do a number of things, throughout my career. And I started, I got the break. My girlfriend and now ex-wife at the time, she's an actor. So she got me into teaching, English to Russian Jews that were just arriving in the early 90s in New York. There was a Jewish resettlement organization. So because I was working with all these actors back then, I picked up a way of teaching that's my own little performance. I get busy in the classroom. I try to make it very dynamic. And then I've been teaching visual arts at Hunter College. Not any longer, but I was there for quite some time. Also Latin American history at Baruch, sometimes on and off.
Okay.
Through the Black and Latino Studies department. But Spanish is just fun, because you just go in there. I guess that's my relation to the theater, the performance in the class.
Miguel, what's your background, man? Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I'm from Puerto Rico. I grew up in San Juan, and my father is Cuban. So we heard a lot of stories about Cubans, and we were raised with a lot of Cubans in our family. So that was really cool. And I came here for college, and I've stayed.
Nice. I have a question for you. I recently had someone on the podcast. He's from Puerto Rico, lived in America, and he works for, I might get this wrong, but he works for the government, and he's pushing for Puerto Rican statehood. So for Puerto Rico to become a state. And then I just recently started to hear different sides of it. People from America who are Puerto Rican and people who are from Puerto Rico who are Puerto Rican. And then I'm just trying to navigate it a little bit and just kind of wanted to hear your perspective on, are you pro Puerto Rico becoming a state, or you like it as its own entity, or have any thoughts around it at all?
I think geography is destiny, and an island has to be its own state, no matter what relation it may have with anybody. Like witness what happened with the whole Maria thing. I mean, we're independent by default, and we have to learn to be more independent because you have a hurricane in a small island, our island, that we grew up with, we were born there, whatever, and then we are not in control of how to handle the emergency. Okay, like lend me the tools, help me out, but I gotta know, we gotta do this thing. So I feel independence is the way to go. How to do this gonna be very, very hard. I mean, and there is a relationship between the United States and Puerto Rico that is very strong. For example, we used to have an expired, amazing pharmaceutical sector at a time when the United States was investing in its pharmaceutical infrastructure way more aggressively. And look, you stop doing that and look what happened. So there is symbiosis, and that has led to good jobs, certain, magnificent, like a scene. But remember, we are in crisis. We are in crisis. We have been in crisis. We went bankrupt. We have had the hurricane. The earth keeps shaking. So, and that's in the island. And so we are independent regardless. It's like how we handle that independence is what's important. And I think, United States is all about self, determination and going forward that way. So I think that's what joins us, not the other story,
Yeah.
Not another story.
I just, it's something that I haven't really thought about. And this guy I was connected to, that's what his job is to help it become a state. And then we posted this, on YouTube, and there was a couple of people just chiming in. Some people for it, some people against it, some people.
Well, no, I think a lot of people are for independence, but again, a lot of people are also very pragmatic. How is that process? How do we do this? Like how do we work together? I mean, because we also have a long history of dominion by the United States on the bad side, and of friendship with the United States on the good side. There's always good and bad, and we've had some terrible things, but some magnificent things as well. So it's how we go forward, and we all need to go, and I don't know what else to tell you, but I take all sides.
I know. It's just everyone's saying, I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to get everyone's opinion on it and trying to make sense of it because, to me in the beginning, I was like, oh, it makes sense. We should have a state. And then some people are like, no, we're an independent, entity. We want to stay as independent. And, so I don't know.
And I'll abide by what the vote in the island decides, majority wins. That's the democracy. So that's also very good. If it were to come to that and it were about association, I want the association to be as, what can let's get this place going incredibly well, like we have to invest, we have to also move forward. There's a lot of weird things, like as a Puerto Rican, you're a citizen, and that you know that in the broader scheme of things, but then to send packages every now and then, or this product is not in Puerto Rico. Although that's changed a lot. I think there's a little bit more availability with Amazon and these things. But by the same token, even with Amazon, there's some things that they can't go to Puerto Rico. Anyway, it's just
yeah. Well, no, thanks for your perspective on it, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to. It's the first time I really dug deep into it, and then I was just trying to gain everyone else's.
Have you been? Have you visited?
I used to go a lot. My wife and I,
wow,
we love it. Before the kids, we were bartenders. So, we literally just have like 3-4 days off. It was always like, not a cheap flight, but it was just like a direct flight, 3 hours from New York down to Puerto Rico, a couple $100. And we would just like, let's go get some, it'd be like February, March.
It's very convenient. It's very convenient for stateside travel. That's for sure.
We loved. It was just the people were so nice and friendly, and like the hospitality down there was not that we were surprised by it, but it was almost nicer than like the hospitality in New York gives great hospitality, but like down there I was like, wow, everyone is so nice and so friendly, from, you know, the maitre d' to the waitress to the bartender to whoever. I mean, everything was just so welcoming, and the weather was gorgeous. So that was like our place to take off and spend a few days and just relax. But then we started having
I'm
kids.
just trying to get there now for the summer with my folks, and the whole thing about like, how can I quarantine myself? I mean, because I'm coming from infection central now, you know, like over here. My parents are great people. They're also a little old on the older side, you know, although they keep really young. They keep really young at heart. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to travel. If I can travel, I hope to, and then have 2 weeks, you know, like stay little house in the neighborhood that's, you know, or a little apartment, you know, like one of those back of the house, you know.
Oh yeah.
2 weeks, you know, to say hello and.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So you're kind of at ground zero down there in New York. You know, what is the time frame? I know things are starting to reopen a little bit, right? Is that correct in New York?
I get that, you know, that vibe, and I'm very gingerly gone out of my little brick, you know, in my apartment. I do have the East River Park. I go out every day to jog. You know, like it's not like total prisoner, but I've been seeing some shops open in that very limited.
Yeah. So what does that mean for you and the theater that you have? I mean, can you start doing, you know, quarter capacity, half capacity? You know, what's your next moves for the theater?
I'm gonna wait on that. Man. I'm gonna wait until I get clear directives from the, you know, it's the state to the city to the mayor to the Department of Cultural Affairs. Those are my overseers. So, you know, in a great way, because they're supportive. They're looking out for us. We've been getting like this updates from the commissioner. Now, I wouldn't know this as a visual artist. This I know from the theater part, because you're an institution, they communicate with you, like that kind of stuff. So I've been really like impressed by how supportive, I mean, supportive without it's nothing that personal or anything, but they've been really duly diligent with sending us updates. And we understand that this theater and such, and not just me, Broadway, everybody, you know, is gonna be kind of the fourth wave of a you know, staggered opening, you know, or industry and this and that. I don't know, restaurants, if they're number 2 or 3. I really don't know. I just know that we're at the end of the line. We're at the end of the line. And
yeah, right.
It makes sense, and how I'm dealing with it the same way you are. We are, Latea is proactively, so the plug is we are teatrolatea.org. Please check it out. And you go there, and we're doing this Latea Remoto events, you know, remote Latea 3 times a week. We're like boom, boom, boom. And listen, man, it's like we can try to remain relevant. We bring people together because we like it, like this conversation. And then we're gonna work to survive. We're gonna work to see how we can survive this, but nothing is first, you know.
Yeah, man. So tell me about your art personally. Like, I know obviously you've got the theater, you're doing teaching, you're an artist at heart. So tell me a little bit about one, you know, your art and what you do and what kind of, you know, art do you do? And then there we go. All right.
So, you know, so I go like for the past, it's a long time ago, in 2001. I've been experimenting. I studied Chinese art history, and I really, you know, became fascinated with it. So we started this thing called Chino Latino. Now, Chino Latino is any restaurant from Havana or Lima, or, you know, places and even in Mexico where you have a lot of Chinese immigration. But I wanted to do like a medley visual arts, you know, like my stuff, painting. So for 20 years I came from figuration, and I'll show you some figurations perhaps later or something, but I started doing this Chino Latino medley, and prints, man, prints. I love printmaking. Check it out. These are, you know, like this is Hello Kitty. What is it? It's called Sambo Chick or Hello Cuatli. It's the Mexican goddess La Cuatlicue, you know, a great, very powerful monolith that the Spaniards buried. I mean, it emerged because they couldn't destroy it. So it emerged, 1800s after being buried for 300. And that's the serpent head that goes with the serpent body, right? But instead, I mixed it up with a kind of black Hello Kitty, and it reminds me of the tripe sellers, tripe sellers in festivals and fritters, in Loíza and several parts.
Yeah.
I'm sure Puerto Rico and all over the Caribbean and Mississippi and you name it, So we're all over. And how would you mix those two together? Because the Spaniards' greatest concern at some point early in Mexico City was that the indigenous of the Africans were getting it on, leaving them out of the genetic mix or something like that, Yeah.
Dude,
So
that's super cool.
It's a mixture.
Yeah. So I mean, if anyone's listening on the podcast, check out this. This will be on YouTube as well. So if you want to see some of Miguel's some of Miguel's artwork, just go onto the Bowery Collective YouTube Gringo in Latin America podcast, and you can see some of his artwork that we're showing right now. You have anything else up there that you can show?
Sure. Hey, this is early on, and I love this one because it's like to me it's like the originally instead of Sonia Braga, Brazilian actor, I used to have Celia Cruz. The original was Celia Cruz, the Afro diva chanteuse from Cuba, and so I thought it was a beautiful because it was an indigenous shaman. He probably done the ritual of La Cojoba. It's from a sculpture from the Taino culture from La Cojoba. Watching a European woman, the odalisque, and then Celia Cruz, our African root on the back. And it's a fun print. Then I made 9 women, 9 different Latin American divas would take up the place of Celia. Celia's one of 9. She's the first. Mm-hmm. And so I have Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, Brazilians, Argentinians in the diva, kind of, a little lighten it up, so now it's just like the divas. So
the divas, all right.
I think there's that. And now, because you're a mezcal drinker and you're into the Mexican culture, ethylic Mexican culture, I've been doing a lot with mixing up the Chino Latino thing with Maya. Because, I've been doing Chino Latino 20 years. At this point, I'm doing it. I got some landscapes. I'm working on one right now. But, I just got into the Maya thing by teaching at Baruch, by teaching Latin American history at Baruch. I tried to start teaching. It doesn't start with Columbus, for Christ's sake. There's like millennia. Civilization sprang up, came down, Roman empires of their own right, Han empires of their own right in our America. So I went back, and then, I've been really, really taken.
So what am I looking at here? What is, did you made this? Like, what am I looking at?
Oh, this is Maya, the central, it's a bigger piece, and I can't show you the bigger piece because of the zoom. This is what turns up.
Yeah.
You have like a Maya mural figure of a guy, the one that, the one that's on the other side of me, right here, that guy. So he must be on a how or a lord. And then behind him, you see there's like a skull. He's carrying death or his death or the god of death. And I put that in a Chinese court, in the setting of a Chinese court of the 12th century Sung dynasty. Whatever. It's just, it's powerful, right? I mean, and I'm just an admirer. I'm just a
do you study the Mayan people? Do you study the Mayan civilization at all? Like, what do you?
Oh, yeah. No, I do, but independently. No degree, no anything. I bring it up in my classes for, my regular classes, and out of that has evolved a remarkable study, like visual study. Like this, and I feel like after I went so far away, I went to China. Chinese culture it's been such an incredible trip for me to sort of get into. This feels so much more familiar in a magnificent way. I mean, because this is our culture. I grew up with a huaco from Peru, which is a little sculpture. I grew up with a lot of, virgins from the Cusco, virgin paintings from Cusco. My parents are just critics, writers. They didn't have money or anything. Souvenirs you pick up, but, like pride of place of the different Latin American cultures.
Yeah. Do you think the Mayan people, the culture, I mean, obviously, do you think that civilization was a lot more advanced than maybe we thought they were? Or, do you think, like, I mean, to me, like, I always hear about the Mayans and they knew about, the stars and the calendars and all this stuff. Do we feel like, they were super advanced and then we lost their technology and, like, I don't know. I try to get people to
No. I think like they were advanced in calculation. I think theoretically, I think the mindset and obviously, if you look at the material remains, I mean, they're incredible. I mean, the cities, they had huge limitations. Those cities, I think they were on the top tier of their time. Whatever. But no, I don't do that. You mean the Omni shit and spaceships and stuff? Like I don't think so.
I don't know. I want to know you're drawing it. I don't know.
Well, no, I drew it, but that's the thing is that's how they drew. That's how they did. Again, they were telescoping themselves far into the future. When I look at some Maya things, I think they were intuiting or playing with the connectivity of today. People have earphones, like Maya things have all these accoutrements, and so you think, okay, that's us to the hanging, the hanging stuff to talk on the phone. Then you have the headphones. I mean, there can be a lot of paraphernalia that you wear. That I think is them anticipating this in their.
Yeah. No, I don't know if there was, any aliens that came down or spaceships or anything of that nature, but I just feel like they, to build what they were building and the calculations and the calendars, and, they seem to have it. They seem to be dialed in with humans and the earth. And, I don't know. They seem to be a little more advanced for their time than many of the other cultures around them.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool, man. Do you have any other art you want to show or?
Sure. No. Well, we talk. I'll show you stuff, man. Let's see.
Yeah.
I have
cool stuff, man. So where do you where is it all this stuff at the theater, or do you have a shop, or where do you keep?
I don't know. I mean, before the theater, I have my my shop and basically I paint. I paint and then, we've been doing some framing. I also started with a partner. He's really the managing partner, a great guy called Eric Rios. We started an amazing frame shop, man. It's called Frames and Stretchers. Kind of from my studio, like we launched it and now I'm cornered. I got a little corner where I have to paint, because the frame shop has been great, man. It's been really successful. So we got this Frames and Stretchers. It's called Frames and Stretchers going on as well.
Cool. That's cool.
I'm looking for stuff. Let me see.
No worries. So the frames and stretchers. I mean, if people wanted to look at your art or possibly buy it, do they go to Frames and Stretchers, or where do they go to see your art?
No, they can always contact me through Frames and Stretchers, and they can look me up at migueltrelles.com.
Cool.
migueltrelles.com. They can Google me up.
Oh,
for example, that's a drawing right now.
What is going on in this picture?
I know, right? I want to show you a few. Whatever pops up. And this is all new. I've been drawing a lot because we're in captivity, right? So we gotta.
So do you find what you're drawing now anything different since you called it captivity? Do you feel like your drawings in the last 2 months have been different than what your drawings were the last couple of years?
I think they've been more intense, some of them, because the captivity, but it's ongoing interest. It's not like it's been like, oh my God, I just changed to something totally, or the trauma, or right. I've been working with this. Is just working more intensely, adding stuff, having a little bit more of the space to concentrate. Like to just do it. Like this. Wow. very calligraphic stuff.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so it's hit and miss. Some of them I think I really feel them I really, really like, and then there's the process. You just do your stuff and hope it comes out. Thinking like of Gothic horror,
Wow.
Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe or something. I don't know.
Yeah. See, we have to have you, if we can host Arte Agave this year, we have to have you come in and show some of your pieces.
It would be awesome. Yeah, I've done some cool collaborations with I once did, Heineken hired me, and I hired 20 artists, and we did 1,000 bodegas in New York. Now, that's not 1,000 images, that's 1,000 bodegas, because, a bodega can be a deluxe edition one with 3 front windows, or it can be one with just 1 window. So we printed all those artworks, using Heineken as a departure point. It was really exciting. We had 20 artists. I did my own art, and I also did, did art for them. Let me see if I find it.
Wow. So did all those artists create their own unique piece?
I was kind of like the editor. It's kind of being in the theater now, oh, that's a nice mic. I think I just got a mic. Is that the Yeti?
Yeah.
I got a Yeti, man, because I think it's gonna probably be a lot better on the.
Yeah, man. Check it out. There it is.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's how I launched this podcast, man. I just started buying random stuff and started doing things and just starting to figure it out.
Yeah, well, what's the relationship with like this podcasting? Were you as active as I am now too? I mean, I really wasn't, because I had to do it like for the university, holding class twice a week, boom, boom, boom. It was wonderful. I'm really lucky that way. How did your online thing sort of happen in the middle of this mess?
Why? What do you mean that I'm doing more online stuff?
Yeah, like the transition to online. When did it actually?
Yeah, so I had wanted to do this podcast for a while, but time just whatever. You can't find the time, or this, that, the other thing. You have an excuse, and then as soon as this thing hit, I mean, I was always creating content and doing interviews, and I was just like, well, now it's got to be via Zoom. Now it's got to be via something else, and I went quickly into transitioning to online video and voice. Interviews and content. So mine was kind of quick, and I was already sort of doing it live. So it was, I guess, an easier transition. So I just knew, like I had to stay relevant. So I'm like, I'm just going to start creating as much content as possible. So it was kind of a quick, easy transition for me. Oh, wow.
So this is us doing that was one of mine, but I had like 20 artists. I had incredible visions.
So 20 other artists created something completely different than what you're showing me.
Yeah, I'll show you something else. I'll do. That was one of mine, and I had many more than those. I mean, because we all had our.
And then it was in like the windows of the bodegas.
Yeah.
How big were they at all the bodegas?
Oh, we're talking. I mean, they varied from bodega, huge. I mean, I'm talking about 6 feet by 6 feet, an average, and then could be bigger.
Dude, right now, you and I, we need to get a tequila mezcal brand to do this guerrilla marketing right now. Like,
all right, yeah.
All the liquor stores or bodegas, or we need to do something similar to this. We got to get Ilegal Mezcal on the horn, because they're all about artists, and create some really cool stuff for stores.
Let's see. I don't know what I'm picking, but it's from that project. Let's see what comes. All right.
Oh God, that's cool.
So that's another vision.
Wow.
Let's see, and I'm right now. Oh my God, the artist is gonna kill me. I don't remember which artist it was, but
we gotta give credit.
Yeah, no, they were incredible. I mean,
was there a theme to it, or Heineken just said go for it?
Well, Heineken said go for it, but there were controls, like I had meetings and I had stuff rejected. I mean, It was an open exploration, but the brand, how brands are. I mean, they're very punctilious about their, especially a brand like Heineken. That's even more. So they would say no to this, no to that. But I in general, okay, this is actually with the photo in front of the bodega. This is René Juan de la Cruz. This guy's incredible. He was one of the designers, to help process. He was the designer of the whole, bodega cultural was my concept. And yeah, and he helped me conceptualize. He was with me at the cockpit, and but this is his own artwork, so it's very like funky, cartoony. It's really out of control, which I think it's also very graffiti. It's like this elegant graffiti. Let me see.
So cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyway, yeah. So you see, those projects are always such a challenge because it's like Neil Young. They're singing for Miller. They're singing for Bud. I don't sing for nobody. So I do that. I only do my own thing. But I think these are interesting challenges, and there's some money to boot. And for me, if the challenge involves like organizing other artists or like working, I think then it bears fruition because it's putting bread in a lot of people's jar. More than.
I mean, so you work with a lot of artists, obviously performers. Is there any relief that of for these people that they're pretty much independent contractors across the board, and if you didn't have some Broadway big contract, like is there unemployment for these workers anywhere? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, the New York Foundation for the Arts, which is one of our local, the mainstay New York for visual arts, for example, and it's giving money out to folks that, for example, are in the gig economy in the arts, setting up shows, and so that's wonderful. That just came up. The settlements, the Henry Street settlement, they're also putting some dollars in artists' hands. So there's everybody's doing something. Like people are really, really working to try. If it's going to be sufficient, of course not. But we're all in this very big jam right now. So I think the most important thing is just everybody like ratchet down the gut reactions and everything, and just like move on forward. Peace.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's just it's tough. I know I'm probably like you. I'm kind of itching to start moving forward a little bit.
Look at this one. I don't even know that one. It's kind of interrupted. I remember who did what happened, but looks pretty cool.
These are amazing. Again, if anyone's listening to this podcast via Spotify or whatever, you got to check out the YouTube page because Miguel's got all these artists that did this Heineken campaign.
When is this airing? Right now, or
no? This is just recording, and then I'll put it up probably tomorrow morning. So
okay, tomorrow morning. So this is my last show at Latea. If you're a Spanish speaker or you speak a la lengua, check it out, man. I mean, it's like from Colombia. It's called the Pied Pipers.
Okay.
And it's a very cool show that was in Colombia. We've done it here, and the producer who also works for Latea, a woman called Tatiana Rondero, she's presenting it now online, the new format, phones, and so we're playing with that, learning how to reinvent the theater for this era. I mean, because it's
Anything else you've been doing online? I know you did the saxophone thing last night, right? Was that last night?
Well, there's something that I don't know if I should talk about it, but yeah, I really will because it's coming out amazing. We broker, because that's what this theater does. Put people together, get our own ideas, your ideas, whatever. We do have a strong Latin American streak, and that's our foundation. But we also have, we've done a lot of Shakespeare in English by up and coming troops, and they're really cool. Sometimes they're just no relation to the Latin theater, but we want to collaborate. We want to do things with you. Boom, we go. We've had major motion pictures shot here. Major motion pictures. Those are great when the scouts come, because then they help generate the vibe for the ecosystem. They help us with and it's so cool. Everybody wants to hang out if Lin-Manuel Miranda is hanging out, or I've seen Ron Howard, Richard Gere, folks like that. I once brought my students to draw at my studio, and they had turned, there's a Richard Gere film where he's a cop. Some kind of cop. It's like a precinct. It's rough. I've seen. I don't remember the name, but he was in my studio. I'm bringing my students from Hunter College, to to do a final crit in my studio, and who's out there kind of looking like, Spider's Richard Gere. So
That's
it's,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, I mean, how big is the theater? How many people does it
Theater,
hold?
you know, we have 74 chairs because we're an old, the place that the theater created a cultural center called the Clemente. And the
Okay.
Clemente Soto Vélez Cultural and Educational Center. We're Puerto Rican, Latino, multicultural. So right now we have like 50 visual artists creating here. We have 4 theaters, a puppet theater, but this is the theater that created the center. Now we're independent. The center's got its own 501c3. We're our own. But the theater used to be the theater, the auditorium of a 1897-98 former schoolhouse. Back when, you know, immigration, give me your poor huddled masses, you know, German Jews, Italians, you know, we're talking about, wow, Ellis Island. So then it's got this Gothic splendor on the outside, and the actual theater, it's got that old world craft, you know, it's got, when people come in, they say, this is so nice. I mean, there's something very intimate about it. And yet it can hold 240 back in the day. It went down to 160. And, you know, until we get sprinklers, you know, we got to abide by code. So we 74. So it's really, it's a jewel, it's a small jewel.
That's cool, man. And what's your
And
title?
it's a bar. And it's, okay. And then people, I mean, you're mezcal people, you know, I'm Donku, I'm rum people. I like, if I can have El Babancu, which is one of the best rums in the Caribbean, the other one is gotta be Donku from Mercedita in Ponce. But it's got a bar. Then they brought this bar, and it's so funny how people gravitate towards the bar because the bar, but the bar is the old stage, which was quainter and smaller, so you got to go up to it. And the place, they like to use the bar. You know, they actually like to. Then the woman runs off to the bar. The guy goes after her. They have a scene in the bar. So it becomes something else.
Nice. How big is the bar that you have in the theater?
That's pretty decent, man. I'd say like 12 feet, you know, at least 12 feet, you know, maybe 15. And then I'd say good 2.5 feet of, you know, depth. And then we got enough space to put beers out and wine.
Can you serve alcohol, or is it just the beer and wine?
Well, I'm in the middle of trying to get an alcohol license before all this. Because I mean, nobody wants another, or not, I mean, people don't want more bars in the Lower East Side. I mean, I'm talking about the neighbors. It was that kind of a situation, right? Like a lot of community board, we go, you yell, blah, blah. So
you're a theater, it shouldn't be that bad. It's not like you're going to be throwing.
Well, no.
Right.
My drink is my culture. Come on, man. I mean, you can't have a cultural thing going on without the drink, and so the drink is culture. So how can you have a Latin American theater without ron, cachaça, okay, pisco, for Christ's sake?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not even going there. I mean, that's already the world of mezcal, okay?
No, you have to have the rum. You have to have the pisco. You're right. I mean, dude, Miguel, we're gonna have to throw a party at your theater, man. Like, I'm itching now. Now that you and I have this is like our 4th conversation. Yeah, like I can't wait till we can start getting some people in a room. I'll bring some brands. You bring some performances. We'll bring the people. Like, I'm ready to start celebrating with you, man.
Well, I want you to, before you do, I want you to check out, I mean, our latest is this collaboration with a burlesque dancer. We had done 2 burlesque shows. Really cool. This woman, Victoria Rodriguez, she's got her own persona called Quinceañera. And, you know, burlesque is big, you know, around here in downtown. And there's a lot of really cool things. So we got this Latinx burlesque connection through Victoria. They were doing shows. But I mean, you're seeing about people doing pole dancing on car washes out there and stuff, you know, because even the clubs, everything we take for granted. And so then I combine her with the jazz, or I ask her, hey, what about if we get this amazing saxophone player, a guy called Jonathan Suazo. We do a lot of jazz here. We like jazz. We got an amazing guy called Miguel. He's genius, MacArthur Genius winner. He is one of the most deft saxists around, I would say, beyond Latin and way beyond. You know, it's like the whole circuit. So he invites young people, or other musicians, you know, up and coming musicians. You got this guy Suazo. Suazo scored a sax piece for the burlesque dancer. I mean, she had her reference, so he scored it live, gave it his own soul. So we're gonna do this new burlesque series where we have a burlesque, the Victoria, our star, Queen Siniera, and then we're gonna combine with a different jazz player. I got a drummer coming up, a guy called Fernando Garcia. I can't even imagine what's gonna happen when it goes, you know, like the percussion.
You're doing saxophone, drummer, burlesque, all in one thing.
Like the sax and the burlesque, the drummer and the burlesque. They, you know, like these musicians like you and I have also reinvented themselves. Some of them have track music. You know, like they are very creative in terms of making an orchestra when they need the orchestral sound, because a lot of them are also going to do their own sound, you know, like, and that, you know, that economy can really take a burlesque, an economy of sounds, of syncopated rhythms, could really get the burlesque to shine even more. Not that it needs to shine.
Is this going to be recorded, or are you going to go
Yeah, we just got the first one. We got our first one. So hopefully do look out at Latea website. We should have it out next week. I want to really, actually, maybe you can give me some advice, because I'm doing stuff through my website. That's the platform you check out, and so on and so forth. But I want to see if I can launch this as a conversation, like with you right now, we're talking. But then the actual, it's a short video. I mean, it's like 5 minutes, if even. So that I want to have in a big platform. I don't know, like YouTube, or, you know, like to see if that can also add traffic.
Well, I mean, what we're doing here, I mean, I've done a couple of webinars via Zoom, so you could always do it via Zoom and invite everyone that you know. And then I'm also, you know, you can record it on here, so I can record it so you can play it back on YouTube, or you can play it back on your website. Also, it connects to Facebook, so you can go live on Facebook. So
right, live on Facebook too is something.
Yeah. So what we're doing right now is you could literally have invited 100 people or whatever, 20 people to watch.
I give classes in this format. No, I'm saying in terms of the actual. I don't need to be socially distant online. I really want to connect as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, unless it just depends on how much traffic is going to, you get more traffic to your website, or you get more traffic to Facebook.
We get equal amounts of traffic. We're like we're small, but we're growing, and we're trying to increase our. I'm not gonna throw any numbers out there.
Yeah, so like if I were you, I would definitely send out an invite to everyone that you know, obviously, and then I would try to make it maybe like a kind of like a Zoom event. You know, maybe it's a 10-minute Zoom event or 15 minutes. You know, maybe you come on, you do something, someone else does something, she performs for a song or two. But then, like I said, you can go on live on Zoom. You can go live on social media, and you're also recording it. So then you can put it right into your YouTube or to your website, you know, if you want. So I would try to, what I'm trying to say is cover as many platforms as possible instead of just going live on, you know, your website. I would try to host an event that's recording while going live at the same time.
Yeah, I want to get to that kind of level of sophistication. I really want. I'm working.
Yeah. I'll help you, man. We'll do it. We'll run it. We'll help you with Arte Agave, man. Like I'll help you do it, man. We'll help promote it. We'll put it out on our social media. We'll send an email out as well. Like let's just have fun with it. To me, man, like I said, starting this podcast, I just start doing things and then working through it and see how it goes. And you just start building momentum. You know, if you have 14 people that watch the first time, who cares? You had 25 to watch the next, you know. It's like any other show. If you do it well enough, people will start coming. So you let me know, man. We'll love to help you out and promote it, and I'll walk you through anything that you need help with.
Would love that. Would love that. So thank you for the for the invitation. This has been really really exciting. Oh, check it out. Because this was the jazz concert we had. yesterday. This amazing guy,
Nice.
Jan Cruz, playing the sax. Oops, the other way.
There you go, John.
And what's great is we had this sax player called Jan, and he was talking to Miguel Senon. So you get the sense of also being a witness to a shop talk among really serious artists, and and how they frame their performances with their own intellectual / technical / whatever considerations.
Yeah, what were you saying? Who was he talking to? He had a conversation with who?
Well, no, Miguel Senon, the sort of presenter of the jazz series. We partnered with him to bring a great musician, and so he talks to Jan Cruz, so he talks to the guy he invites. And then, and you get a sense of that. And then we play cuts from different concerts. When we have footage from Latea concert, we played from Latea, it's almost like, oh my God, like that was the world pre-COVID shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of cool too. If you had like a little show that's like somebody's talking to the artist, getting a little perspective from them, and then you get to see them perform. You can make it into like
that's what I'm doing at Latea, and that's what I need a partner or partners with, but again, everyone is in such standby, but I think we have some amazing content. We need to partner. We need to grow a little bit more, our public and such, but we also need to partner in such a way, especially if it's going to be online. How do we pay the artists? What do we do? Like these are all considerations, because bad as it was in the old days, you had the box office. I mean, people show up, they give you the money, they buy the beer. I mean, it's just all over. Just forget the theater. I mean, then you buy the beer. So even that, you can't buy beer, or you can, and we will. But I'm just saying, it's just taking a huge dip.
Yeah. So listen, man, tell me all the places where everyone can find you, and find the websites and find the theater websites. Give everyone the gamut of how to find you, how to support you, and when you get going.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. So if you want to look at my work, either Google my name. My name is Miguel Trelles, Trelles, or you can check out migueltrelles.com, migueltrelles.com. That's my website. And I also would really, really invite you all to check out Teatro Latea. I mean, it's teatrolatea.org. And then, it's got a little ticket, and you press the ticket, and then remote Latea, like the music, or you want to do it. I'm doing a podcast, like right now. So that would be great if you visit us to check that out. And if you need any framing, I mean, I know it sounds like snake oil seller, right? And then, and I also do this. I don't do massage though, fortunately. And then come to my massage parlor. No, I have this frame shop. It's called Frames and Stretchers. Great for framing. So that's cool. That's pretty much me.
Nice. And then what's where's the jazz is on the website, your website?
Yeah, teatrolatea.org. You will see, I mean, every Wednesday we're doing the jazz, and Fridays we're doing that crazy, like new way of theater called the Pied Pipers of Woodside. It's called Pied Pipers of Woodside. So and it's in Spanish. That one's in Spanish. The jazz is, the conversation's mostly in English. The jazz is jazz. And so, yeah.
Cool, brother. Well, listen, man, I thank you again for your time the second time around. I appreciate, we changed this a bunch of times. So, man, I really appreciate you doing this. Again, like I said, being a voice for, the artists and musicians and performers at this time is, I think everyone's looking at the hospitality industry and freaking out, but no one's even remembering like artists and musicians and, people that, are pretty much independent contractors. So thanks for your time and your perspective on all that, man. I love what you're doing. And I really can't wait till I could get back to New York. You're in the Lower East Side, right? Lower East Side?
Lower East Side.
Yeah. So I can't wait to get down there and crack open. So you have some rum, I'll have some mezcal, and, chat in person. So I'm looking forward to hitting that theater with you.
I can't wait. Thank you. Gracias.
What are we looking at? What's the last picture you're showing me?
That's Suazo. That is the man that is scoring the burlesque dance. Okay,
Nice.
he is the first jazz sax player that we featured. I'm not the first one, but the first one that said to the burlesque collaboration, "I'll do it. Let's do it." You know. So I'm really indebted to him. He's quite. He also, when he came here, because he played here earlier this, before the pandemic. He taped everything state of the art, so we have Suazo at Latea, and it's incredible. It's an incredible live concert. And, I don't think about these things when I'm like looking at them, because I'm here live, enjoying it, having a beer. And then I get to chat with Suazo and Miguel. They chat with everybody. We all come out and drink. But then I'm thinking, oh my God, now it's so different. It's so poignant in a different way. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Listen, I won't take up much of your time. I appreciate it again. Thank you. I'm glad that we're becoming friends here. And like I said, I can't wait to get back to New York and hit the Lower East Side and have a cocktail with you and start collaborating, man. So I'm looking forward to what's next and what we can do together. Cool, man. Well, thanks for your time, brother. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys next time. Gringo Latin American podcast. See you guys soon.